Chapter 46-48. Originally, Duan Lingtian did not intend to pay attention to these people. However, when he finally looked at the land of divine relics, there were actually many people who had conflicts because of this. He didn't want the land of divine relics to be messed up, so he immediately separated the land of divine relics from all the gods in the Nishan realm. Plain connection: those who want to leave the land of divine relics can do so within the next month. In 1 month, the land of divine heritage will be closed for at least 1,000 years. Duan Lingshan's voice, like a loud bell, spread throughout the land of divine heritage, like a supreme creation talking to the many lives he created. As Duan Lingtian spoke, the land of divine relics suddenly boiled. Isn't it just for this moment that many of them started making trouble? They can finally leave and go to the Tower of Babel to seek their chance. Of course, these people are basically high-ranking gods. As for the most powerful people, those who stayed in the land of divine heritage were basically those who had good relations with the most powerful person from the Xia family in the land of divine heritage. They all learned about some potential risks from Duan Lingtian, but there were no planning to leave. Moreover, as the most powerful people, it is easy for them to leave. They can talk to Duan Lingtian directly. Even if it is not convenient for them to talk to Duan Lingtian, they can still find people who are convenient to talk to Duan Lingtian, such as people from the Xia family in the land of gods, that is also the natal family of Duan Lingshan's wife. Father, you let them go, why did you restrict me from going out? Duan Yentian also wanted to enter the Tower of Babel. His goal and pursuit was his father, but with his current strength, he felt that his chances of catching up with his father were extremely slim. Now that he had the opportunity to overtake in a corner, he naturally didn't want to make a mistake. Pass the chance. Just be patient. Duan Lingtian was very pleased with his son's ambition to become stronger, but he didn't get used to it today. He beat him first and then reasoned with him. After learning about his father's concerns, Duan Yentian calmed down for a while, but he couldn't help but secretly cursed in his heart. Can't you just tell me the reason directly? Is it necessary to beat me first? I have never seen my father beat up Soaring. It's too biased. Duan Lingtian didn't know what his son was thinking, and even if he knew, he wouldn't care. In the next period of time, Duan Lingtian paid close attention to the situation in the outside world. He also heard about the news from the Jade Emperor in Nishan realm. Realm Lord Xiaomubai wanted to stop people from entering at first. But it backfired. There are too many high-ranking gods. He can't keep them all, can he? He could only stop some powerful people who were ready to make a move. Of course, this is also because he knows very well that even if he stops everyone here, these people will definitely find a way to leave the Nishan realm, go to the entrance of the Babel Tower outside the Nishan realm, and enter the Babel Tower. The benefits promised by heaven are so attractive. Certainly. During this period of time, people also came out of the Tower of Babel one after another, all of whom had previously entered the second entrance of the Tower of Babel. There are people who go against the realm of gods, and there are also people who live outside the realm. On the side of the Nishan realm, Duan Lingtian contacted the law clone of Huangfu Mengyuan, the senior sister of the inner palace of Wanfa Academy, and told her that the matter was suspicious. After the other party heard about it, he immediately asked me to leave the Babel Tower. Out from inside coming. As for the second senior brother, the third senior brother and the fourth senior sister, they also all had their clones outside and came out one after another. Beyond the boundary, the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty also became agitated with the return of the former 7th city lord Xue Qingzhu. Although the beings in the outside world have no rules, they still leave things outside. Once someone touches those things, something urgent has happened. They will be aware of it and rush back from the outside as soon as possible. Therefore, the strongest men in the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty also came out of the Tongtian Tower one by one. Even though the newly opened third entrance of Babel Tower is very attractive, they trust Xue Qingzhu even more, because Xue Qingzhu has led the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty to achieve many benefits and glory since his rise, and has never let the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty suffer. Deficit. They had almost blind trust in Xue Qingzhu. On Bibo Tianfa's side, before Feng Qingyang left with Xue Qingzhu, Duan Lingtian specially said hello to him and asked him to remind Bibo Tianfu and at the same time ask Bibo Tianfu to inform Qingzhu nearby. Yunsheng sect. They are all forces that have some friendship with him. At this critical moment, he decided to give a reminder. Whether they believe it or not is up to them. When the beings above the gods in the 10,000 realms and the land beyond the boundary were all keen to enter the Tower of Babel, the 10,000 realms and the land beyond the realms seemed to be much calmer than before. Because there were so many fewer people, there were naturally fewer people. Less disputes. A peaceful and calm scene. Time flies. 32 years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Duan Lingtian, as usual, stayed in the Nirvana heaven, one of the heavenly planes in the Nishan realm, to meditate, comprehend the way of swordsmanship, and sprint to the 9th level. Although he doesn't know what will happen next, the improvement in strength will undoubtedly bring him more protection, allowing him to protect himself and his family and friends at the same time. This is something he is still practicing hard to this day. The motivation of practicing lies. Suddenly, an earth-shaking loud noise swept from the end of the horizon, making the earth tremble. A large number of buildings in the Nirvana Emperor's palace collapsed because of this. A vast and majestic force, accompanied by a loud noise from the sky, arrived as promised and swept across all directions. Right here. Found it. Eula, you practice the forbidden life sacrifice method, which is not tolerated by all living beings in the divine land. Today we will lock you in your position and we will kill you. One after another, voices seemed to come from outside the sky, many of which were harsh and scolding. Along with it, there are also extremely terrifying powers. These forces were not impacting the anti-god realm, but were clearly clashing in the distance. However, the aftermath of their power still caused the space where the Nirvana sky was to be fragmented and crumbling, giving people a feeling that the mirror was about to disappear in the blink of an eye. That is, as soon as Duan Lingtian rose into the air, he saw a familiar giant tower appearing in the distance on the horizon. It was the Babel Tower. Then, the Tower of Babel suddenly exploded, turning into bright white fireworks, and countless shrill and desperate screams came out from inside, which was heart-stopping and shocking. You alone want to kill me? Ridiculous! Another disdainful voice sounded, shaking all directions. The sound was like muffled thunder, and the power that arose immediately collided with several other sudden forces, causing the Nirvana sky to be completely shattered and turned into powder in an instant. And Duan Lingtian also appeared in the turbulent space. The master, his wife, and others who were originally within his sight also disappeared behind the shattered annihilation heaven, as if they were so close to him in the blink of an eye. Not good dash. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian seemed to have noticed something, and his expression suddenly changed. He found that the small world inside his body was strangely turbulent. The originally strong divine tree of life became dim in an instant. Most of the divine water for purifying the world in it evaporated in the blink of an eye. Its breath was sluggish, as if the Buddha's oil is exhausted and the lamp dries up. How is this going? Duan Lingtian was stunned, completely stunned. Before he had time to intervene, even before the divine tree of life and the divine water of purification had time to communicate with him, they destroyed themselves one after another, and their auras disappeared in an instant. The little world inside his body collapsed instantly. The land of divine heritage was also shattered. Chapter 46-49. At the critical moment, Duan Lingtian could no longer care about the group of people in the land of divine relics, and could only care about a few relatives near the newly destroyed divine tree of life. His wives and his parents. Other family members and friends are all in this sacred place. The power of law is destroyed? When Duan Lingtian took action, it was obvious that he could not sense the power of space law, and even the power of other laws was gone. The only means he could use were his own power, and there are 4 realms in the world. Although his strength is much weaker, he still doesn't have much pressure to protect his wife and parents. Si Ling, Nian Tian and the others. While protecting his wife and parents, Duan Lingtian wanted to find his children and other family members and friends, but found that the vast number of creatures in the sacred land disappeared one after another into the fragmented turbulent space, and he wants the person you are looking for is also inside and cannot be noticed at all. He unfolded his consciousness and could only feel the breath disappearing into the crumbling turbulent space. As if a strange storm swept through, the turbulent space was quickly fragmented. At the same time, Duan Lingtian only felt a pulling force, shrouding him and his wife and parents who were protecting him, constantly shaking in the shattered turbulent space. Vibrate. During this period, he could hear the fierce fighting sound quickly disappearing. He just came back to his senses and wanted to resist the pulling force, but found that the pulling force disappeared in the next step. When he came back to his senses, his eyes were clear, but he appeared in a vast expanse of mountains and rivers. The smell permeating the air is completely different from any space I have been to before. It is somewhat like what his master described, the world behind the 9 mysterious entrances to the Nishan realm and many realms. How is this going? Duan Lingtian was a little confused. Are we forcibly sent into the world behind the mysterious entrance? At the same time, in his mind, he was constantly recalling the previous sounds coming from the horizon, as well as the scene of the Babel Tower being shattered, which he would never forget. What happened? This is Duan Lingtian's doubts, and also the doubts of his wife and parents who are still by his side after Duan Lingtian protected him. Brother Tian, what happened? Kier looked at Duan Lingtian, with doubts and confusion in his eyes. He glanced around with astonishment on his face. Just now, was I dazzled? I saw the divine tree of life broken. Sister Shui also disappeared. Also, I feel no more power of law. When Duan Lingtian was in the small world inside his body, his wife got along very well with Jingshi Shui, and they were treated like sisters. Huaner, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu all looked at Duan Lingtian at this time. In their eyes, this man was there and their backbone. Because of this, after this man sensed the crisis and incorporated the land of divine relics into the small world within his body, in order to prevent him from worrying too much about them, they all stayed honestly next to the divine tree of life, practicing there, and without there are experiences in sacred places. Duan Lingtian's parents, Duan Rufeng and Li Rou, have always lived a life of retirement. They thought it was good to be near the divine tree of life, so they never left. But they didn't expect that it was their decision that caused the small world inside Duan Lingtian's body to be shattered, and after the turbulent space was shattered, they did not disappear from Duan Lingtian's side like the others, but were protected by Duan Lingtian in time. Come down. I don't know what happened yet. Duan Lingtian shook his head, and at the same time he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Since they were safe and sound, he expected that the others were also the same. I just don't know where they were sent. Looking back now, that last pulling force was obviously the pulling force of space when the turbulent space was shattered. When that space force was completely shattered, they regained their freedom and were no longer affected. The power of law cannot be sensed. At this time, Huaner frowned slightly and said, "It's not just that I can't sense the power of the law." Duan Lingtian sighed and said, "Not long ago I was still in the Nirvana Emperor's palace. And suddenly, there was a combined force breaking through the sky, and then there were several loud shouts." Duan Lingtian told them the situation at that time. "We saw it too." Li Fei said, "At that time, a person shouted something, 'Yulu, you practice the forbidden life sacrifice method, which is not tolerated by all living beings in the divine land. Today, we will lock you in your position and we will kill you. You know that you loha luohi? Can you see it too?" Duan Lingtian was stunned for a moment. He had clearly closed the small world inside his body tightly at that time, but he did not expect that the people inside also saw that scene. At that time, the Tower of Babel also appeared, and at the same time it shattered, and countless screams were heard. Feng Tianwu continued. After some exchanges with his wives, Duan Lingtian also realized that the destruction of the small world in his body was probably not the only one. The small worlds in other people's bodies were also shattered in all likelihood. Because the existence of the small world within the body has a certain connection with the power of space. After those loud shouts came and the Tower of Babel was shattered, the whole world seemed to be in chaos. Everything related to the power of the law was shattered. After the nirvana heaven was shattered, he wandered in the turbulent space, but the turbulent space was also shattered shortly after. At that time, he discovered that the power of law seemed to have disappeared strangely. Now, in this strange world, he can't sense any power of laws here. It's not right. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian remembered something again. I remember Master said that he went into the world behind the mysterious entrance and struck with all his strength. I didn't hear him mention that he couldn't use the power of law in that world. What's going on? Things seem to be different from what we guessed before. Then who is Yuyuo? Those people seem to be attacking him because he practiced some forbidden life sacrifice method? It also mentioned all living beings, Duan Lingtian murmured. The sound was not loud, but people around him could hear it clearly. Could it be that this is some kind of sacred land? Duan Ruffing opened his mouth and guessed. At this time, Li Ro next to him also had a worried look on her face. Si Ling and Yen Tian, the children, were all in the land of gods before, and the in-laws, Xuanai, Xiao He, Xiao Bai and Xiao Jin. They all have a certain amount of strength, so there shouldn't be much danger for the time being. Duan Lingtan also calmed down at this time, knowing that it was useless to be impatient. The top priority was to first understand the world he was in now. Chapter 4650. Until now, Duan Lingtian is still a little confused. Have absolutely no idea what's going on. Everything was so sudden. However, he also knows that since he has come to this world, whether he wants to leave this world and return to the world or a place outside the world, or he cannot go back, he must first understand this world and see where they have come. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian discovered that a familiar aura suddenly emerged from Kir's body, which was the aura of the most powerful. Kir, are you breaking through? Duan Lingtian looked at Kir with a surprised look on his face. Kir also had a confused look on his face now, looking inside at the situation inside his body and murmured, "It seems like a breakthrough." However, this situation seems to be different from what Huaner said. Huaner is the first among Duan Lingshan's wives to step into the realm of high-ranking gods and become the most powerful. Just now, I felt the power of the superior in my body boiling, and then the technique started to work on its own, and then I broke through. There was no guidance from the most powerful state, so it was a normal breakthrough. Speaking of this, Kir thought of something and said, "By the way, some of my insights on the way of the sword flashed through my mind just now. Could it be related to Kendo?" Kir is the second among Duan Lingshan's wives to fully master the 4 realms of heaven and earth. Completely mastered the way of swordsmanship and reached the first level. But at this moment, another aura rose up, but it was Huaner not far away. An aura suddenly rose up on his body, and his whole temperament also changed a lot compared to before. "Huaner, you also made a breakthrough?" Duan Lingtian was stunned. Compared to Kir, Huaner's feelings were more profound. After all, she turned out to be the most powerful person. "Brother Tian, I feel like I have been exposed to this world for a long time. The swordsmanship that I just broke through to the 3rd level seems to be alive. Not in my mind interruption drill. After being accommodated again, the power in my body has also transformed from the 2nd level of the strongest to the 3rd level." After listening to Huaner's words, Duan Lingtian glanced at Li Fei and Feng Tianwu to confirm that there was nothing strange about them. Finally, he looked at his parents. They also had no feeling. This world had not brought them cultivation. For the improvement. It seems that it is indeed related to the way of swordsmanship. Duan Lingshan's eyes flashed and he said, "In this world, the power of laws does not exist. You cannot sense the power of laws here, let alone use it. When you get here, except for some things that you have mastered in the past, practical skills too in addition, only the 4 realms of heaven and earth can be used. Of course, the power within the body has not disappeared and is still available. Next, let's find a place nearby to stay, or see if we can meet anyone, and get to know the world first." After hearing Duan Lingshan's words, several people nodded in agreement. Next, Duan Lingtian and his family traveled in the air. After several days of traveling, they finally saw a few figures. These figures were in a hurry, obviously on their way. A few. Duan Lingtian just stepped forward to block their way and wanted to ask, but saw that the other party's expressions changed. However, after realizing that Duan Lingtian had no ill intentions, they all avoided him and continued moving forward. Before Duan Lingtian came back to his senses, he saw another group of people coming from the distance, seemingly chasing something. But he was chasing after a few people who just passed by. Duan Lingtian frowned, but he didn't intend to catch up. There was obviously a grudge between the two groups. Before he understood the world, he didn't plan to get involved to avoid catastrophic disaster. However, the strength of these two groups is only average. The strongest one is comparable to the mid-level god. Of course, what we are talking about here is the power they control, which is comparable to the power of a mid-level god. Because the power of law does not exist in this world, and these people obviously do not master the four ways of heaven and earth, so their strength is definitely inferior to that of the intermediate gods from all realms, and even the places outside the realm, and they may not even be able to defeat the lower gods. Respect. Since we can see people here, I think there is a gathering place for humans nearby. Duan Lingtian returned to his family and continued moving forward with them. Really? 3 days later, Duan Lingtian and his party finally saw a city. The city was neither big nor small. It was adjacent to a continuous mountain range. There were many people going in and out, and it was quite lively. Duan Lingtian and his party approached. Except for Huaner, who habitually wore a veil, the other 3 women, as well as Li Ro, attracted a lot of people's attention, but it was just a quick glance, because in this world no shortage beauty. In their world, many women who were originally average-looking can change their appearance through some secret cultivation methods, and look like whatever they want. Only the breath of the soul remains unchanged. Duan Lingtian had also discovered a long time ago that after coming to this world, the soul aura will overflow involuntarily, allowing people to sense it from a distance and confirm the identity of the other person. The language of this place. Soon, Duan Lingtian discovered that the language of this place was the same as the lingua franca of the 10,000 realms and the land beyond the boundary. If it weren't for the fact that there was no power of law here and the breath of the soul magically overflowed, he would have thought that he had returned. Arrive the world or the place beyond the bounds. After walking around the small town and confirming that the trading currencies of this world were divine stones and divine crystals, Duan Lingtian felt relieved. He had no shortage of these things. However, he soon discovered his Neji space disappeared. He naturally knew what this meant. It meant that all the things he had stored in the Neji were gone. Normally, this is a situation that occurs after the Neji self-destructs. Helpless. Duan Lingtian sighed secretly, and in the end he could only take the huge divine crystal necklace worn around his wife Li Fei's neck, remove the divine crystal from it, and prepare to exchange it for the divine stone in the small town for daily consumption. The reason why Li Fei wears this divine crystal is because the size of ordinary divine crystals is standard, and it is difficult to condense such a large piece. It is considered a rarity. Duan Lingtian knew that she likes shiny things, so he gave it to her. She made a necklace and wore it with her, so that she did not disappear with the disappearance of the ring space. Now, they and their group can be said to be penniless. The weapons also disappeared with the disappearance of the Neji space. Such a big divine crystal? Duan Lingtian found a luxuriously decorated shop called Jinbao Pavilion a few floors up, went to the shopkeeper, took out the divine crystal, and asked the other party how many divine stones he could exchange for it. Although he has inquired about the ratio of divine crystals to divine stones, that is only the ratio of ordinary divine crystals. His divine crystal is extraordinary. Call out, call out, call out. In order not to be deceived by the shopkeeper, Duan Lingtian deliberately displayed the 8th level of swordsmanship. The invisible sword energy surrounded him and disappeared after a moment. But even so, the treasure master of Jinbao Pavilion was still shocked and couldn't help but exclaimed, "A powerful person who has entered the Tao." Chapter 4651. A powerful person who has entered the Tao? This is the first time Duan Lingtian has heard such a title. It should be the name given to the beings who have mastered the four realms of heaven and earth in this world. Next, the attitude of the shopkeeper of Zhenbao Pavilion not only became much more humble, but also gave Duan Lingtian a very high exchange ratio. He even asked Duan Lingtian afterwards if there was anything he needed to help him with, as long as he could do whatever he could never refuse. The look he looked at Duan Lingtian was also full of awe, as if the powerful person who entered the Tao was some great big shot in his eyes. I really want to ask the shopkeeper something. Seeing that the store was not busy, Duan Lingtian asked the shopkeeper some questions and soon learned some things from the shopkeeper. This world is called Divine Land. Where he is now is in the Chuzhou, in the Divine Land. This is a relatively remote city in Chuzhou, called Anqing. There are two gangs, that is, one gang and two families. Zhenbao Pavilion is one of them, of a family industry. However, when he knew the cultivation realm of these three strongest cultivators, he didn't care at all. The strongest one has not yet entered the Tao. This is why the shopkeeper was shocked that he was a Taoist practitioner. I really didn't expect. In this world of gods and earth, the so-called Tao is not just four kinds of Tao, and there is no such thing as the Tao of weapons. Any kind of Tao of weapons is an independent Tao. After Duan Lingtian took his family to find an inn to stay, he sat around the yard with his wives and listened to Kir sighing. Now, after understanding this world, Kir is not as worried about the safety of his daughter Xiling and son Yantian. In this world, their strength is considered to be good, second only to Taoist practitioners. Yes. In the past, in our world, there were only 4 ways of heaven and earth, but in this world, there are 10,000 ways. Duan Lingtian nodded. The way of weapons, among the 10,000 ways, is only a combination of the way of hundreds of weapons. In this world, not only cannot the laws be sensed, but even the people here do not know the existence of the power of the laws. As for the law clone, I don't even know. Duan Lingtian asked the shopkeeper of Zhenbao Pavilion if he knew a person named Yu Luoha, but the shopkeeper didn't know. As for the way of living sacrifice, the other party also said that he had never heard of it, and frankly said that he was just a member of the lower class of the gods. Because of his business talent, he was valued by the family behind him. Otherwise, he could only serve tea and do some chores. I plan to visit the 3 major forces in Anqing tomorrow. I think the strongest of those forces should know more. Duan Lingtian said his plan: you just stay at the inn and take care of the safety of your father and mother. The 4 girls nodded in unison. Originally, this world was unfamiliar to them and they still had a sense of crisis. Now that they have a preliminary understanding of this world, they finally feel a little more relaxed. Only, what Duan Lingtian didn't expect was that before the next day, in the evening, someone came to his door and claimed to be the head of the Yan family in Anqing. They'll go out and meet him. He was surrounded by women, and Duan Lingtian had no intention of greeting him in the guest room courtyard and going out to meet him. When he met the head of the Yan family, Duan Lingtian knew why he came to the door, because the person standing behind him was the shopkeeper who entertained him in Zhenbao Pavilion today. Although this shopkeeper is from the bottom of the Divine Land, he still has some strength. Although he has not reached the level of the gods of the 10,000 worlds and outer worlds, he still has the cultivation level of an immortal. It should be because the spiritual energy of the Divine Land and the heaven and earth is abundant. Reason the aura of heaven and earth in this world is comparable to that of all realms, and the places outside the realm where the aura of heaven and earth are most abundant are no less generous. Sir, we meet again. The shopkeeper saluted Duan Lingtian respectfully. The middle-aged man standing in front of him also stared at Duan Lingtian with gleaming eyes, respectfully raised his hands and said, Yan Hu, the head of the Yan family in Anqing, has met your lord. Yan Hu is here to offer a treasure to you, sir. After finishing his words, Yan Hu took out something and handed it to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian reached out and took it. After touching it for a while, he almost lost his temper and smiled, because this thing was a sword-shaped jade pendant, which contained a ray of swordsmanship that ordinary people could not detect, but Qi Peng could easily integrate his consciousness into it. This ray of swordsmanship is only left behind by the first level of swordsmanship. For those who have not yet understood the swordsmanship, it can serve as an introduction to the swordsmanship, or it can be used to understand the swordsmanship. Of course, it is unlikely to completely master the first level of swordsmanship. At best, you can master the rudimentary form of swordsmanship. This thing is of no use to me. Duan Lingtian casually returned it to Yenhu. This thing was not only useless to him, but also of no use to his family members who had not yet entered the Tao. Even if he casually showed it to his family members for enlightenment, the swordsmanship is far greater than what is contained in this thing. The swordsmanship is rough and strong. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Yenhu was stunned for a moment, and then his pupils shrank. Then he asked in a trembling voice, "My lord, are you a monk who has mastered the second-level swordsmanship?" Only monks who have mastered the second level of swordsmanship and above will have no interest in what he sends out. Just take it as such. Duan Lingtian didn't intend to reveal too much, so he smiled lightly and returned the things to Yenhu. After Yenhu took back the things with trembling hands, he took a deep breath and looked at Duan Lingtian. "Sir, I don't know. Can you help me and do the Yen family a favor? Afterwards, my Yen family will definitely be richly rewarded." After he finished speaking, Yenhu actually gave back the divine crystal that Duan Lingtian had sent to the treasure pavilion today to exchange for the divine stone. The divine stones you exchanged for today, sir, should be regarded as the meeting gift that I, Yenhu, gave you. Duan Lingtian did not reach out to take back the divine crystal. Instead, he smiled lightly and asked, "What do you want me to do for you? If it's just a small favor, it doesn't hurt to help. This man is the head of the Yen family, and he wants to know a lot of things. Do him a favor and get some benefits in terms of divine stones and divine crystals, and you can also ask him some more things he desperately wants to know. Of course, if it's a big favor or something too troublesome, he has no interest in helping the other party. As for what he wants and what he wants to know, he can definitely find someone else. Sir, this is what happened." As Yenhu spoke, Duan Lingtian also knew the whole story. It turned out that it was all caused by the sword-shaped jade pendant in Yenhu's hand. The other two forces in Anqing knew about it, and they all want to get a piece of the pie, otherwise we need to join forces to deal with the Yen family's posture. Originally, Yenhu planned to give the things to Duan Lingtian, and then ask Duan Lingtian to issue a statement to make the two families retreat. Otherwise, even if Yenhu said that he gave away or lost the things, the two families would not believe him and would still cause trouble. Now, Duan Lingtian is not interested in the sword-shaped jade pendant. He still wants Duan Lingtian to tell the outside world that the thing is in his hands and scare away the other two forces in Anqing. That's it? Duan Lingtian smiled calmly. "If this is the case, you can let the news out. In addition, if those two families want to collide with me, they can have their strongest people come together. I'm waiting for you." To him, this is really just a small thing among small things, not worth mentioning at all. Therefore, he casually took the divine crystal that Yenhu handed over and was still hanging in the air, preparing to return it to his wife Li Fei and continue to use it as a necklace pendant for her. Chapter 46-52. After seeing Yenhu off, Duan Lingtian turned back to the guest room courtyard and returned the divine crystal to Li Fei. "Brother Tian, this is..." Li Fei was a little surprised at the lost and recovered divine crystal. Duan Lingtian smiled and told the story, and then she suddenly realized that Ganqing was the family behind the Jinbao pavilion, and they wanted her men to take advantage of them, to show off their power. The other side. After Yenhu returned, he spread the news and also told which inn and which guest room and courtyard Duan Lingtian stayed in. The other family and gang in Anqing quickly received the news. That Kendo jade pendant was given away by Yenhu? And was it given to a strong Taoist? Is it true? You even told the other party's location? Is this intended for us to confirm? It was related to the jade pendant of Kendo, which was the key to entering the Tao. The head of the family and the gang leader of the two families soon went to the inn to visit the strong man who had entered the Tao, which was Duan Lingtian. After confirming that Duan Lingtian was a powerful Taoist, they retreated even though they felt unwilling to do so. Are we too radical? If we were more tactful, we wouldn't have forced the Yen family to take this step. After the two of them left the inn, they couldn't help but smile and shake their heads. They never expected that the Yen family would take such a step in order to prevent them from sharing the Kendo Jade pendant. It was simply harming others and not benefiting themselves. On Duan Lingshan's side, after dealing with the two of them, the news soon became known to Yen Hu. Yen Hu also hurriedly took several elders from his family to visit Duan Lingtian. One is to express gratitude, and the other is to clarify Duan Lingshan's doubts. Before he left last time, Duan Lingtian told him that he hoped he could bring a few knowledgeable people from his family to help him solve some of his confusion, so the few old people he brought this time may not be the strongest but he is definitely the most knowledgeable. One of them even left Anqing and Chuzhou, and narrowly escaped death before returning. After all, there are still certain risks when walking outside without being a strong person. Grown-ups. Yen Hu brought people to see Duan Lingtian. After thanking him, he briefly introduced the elderly people he brought, and then asked Duan Lingtian to ask questions. Before that, I was also given a ring. It is indeed Neji, and its name is the same as the name of the place where Duan Lingtian was previously in the world, but the space in this Neji is different from the space in the world and the world outside the world. The latter relies more on the laws of space, and this is satisfied the key lies in the material. However, deep in the material, there is also a faint power of space. This is also the first time Duan Lingtian has felt the power of space in this world. Certainly, the ring here has no self-destruction function. Although it recognizes the owner, if the person dies, others can get the contents of the ring if they get it. This is similar to the secular Neji of the world, except that the material of this Neji is more advanced. After asking Yen Hu and learning that the value of the Neji was not high, Duan Lingtian asked him to arrange a few and prepare one for each of his family members. When they came to this world, all the space inside their Neji disappeared. Neji is useless. Yen Hu was actually quite puzzled at first as Duan Lingtian and his group didn't even receive a precept, and even lacked a divine stone. It stands to reason that a strong person cannot lack these things. It wasn't until Duan Lingtian told his origin that Yen Hu suddenly realized it. The reason why he told his story without any reservation was because Duan Lingtian felt that he could control the people in front of him, and he would leave the place soon afterwards without worrying about any danger against them. Moreover, even if you tell your origin, there may not be any danger. If you have this intention, you are just being cautious. Sir, if my guess is correct, you should come from the world created by the creation life chart and the way of life sacrifice you mentioned. Judging from the legends I heard outside, it doesn't sound right. The old man who walked out of Chuzhou in Yen Hu's mouth, after pondering for a moment, spoke loudly and told some legends he had heard outside in the past. Creation chart? A created world? Hearing the old man's words, Duan Lingshan's originally confused and dim mind seemed to be instantly illuminated by a light from the sky. After taking a deep breath, he asked, "Senior, please elaborate." "Sir, you are a powerful person in Taoism. I don't dare to call you senior." The old man was a little frightened, but he didn't dare to neglect, and told Duan Lingtian one by one the legends he heard back then. In the past of the world of gods and earth, it is said that someone once used the creation chart to create a brand new world, and even captured people to enter it, allowing them to reproduce in it. In fact, the person who controls the creation chart can control everything in that new world, including time. It is said that in the world created with the creation life chart, the owner of the creation life chart can set many rules, and among them are the laws of elements, which are also the fundamental support for the operation of the creation life chart. When Duan Lingtian heard about the law of elements, his heart was shaken. Isn't that the various laws he has mastered before? Whether it is space, time, or life, the 5 elements are all one type of elements in the world. The strong person who refined the creation life chart, after opening up a new world in it, is said to have shared this with her husband. Later, she was killed by her husband, who used the creation life chart, follow the path of life sacrifice, And will the creatures in the creation chart world serve as tools for him to become stronger? He destroys the world inside at every turn, fattens and kills the creatures inside. Later, when word spread about the incident, he was besieged and ganged up to kill. The person who killed him is lucky. Fortunately, he hasn't gone any further. Otherwise, it would be harder to kill him than to reach the sky. After that, the creation life chart became known to many people and was regarded as a taboo by the 5 strong men who joined forces to kill the master of the creation life chart. They divided one into 5 and each kept a part of it. The way of life sacrifice practiced by the Lord of the creation and life chart is also listed as a taboo way. Those who practice this way will be punished by the people of the divine land. As the old man continued to speak, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel waves of turmoil in his heart. He never expected that the truth would be like this. The world he was originally in, and even the places outside the world, were actually just the new world opened up by a creation chart in the world of gods and earth? Although what the old man said was just a legend, Duan Lingtian has basically confirmed that this is what actually happened. If he guessed correctly. Later, a strong man named Yuluaha would either collect the creation life chart again, or he would refine a second creation life chart himself and open up thousands of new creation lives. Boundary, a place outside the boundary, where they are kept like pigs creatures for your own cultivation. Because, according to what the strong man who entered their world said, what Yuluaha practiced was the way of life sacrifice. Before the separation of history, the reason why the world was suddenly destroyed was because then Yuluo swallowed up all the creatures in the new world created in the creation chart at that time and used them for cultivation. The Yuluo River is actually the way of heaven in the eyes of all the worlds and creatures outside the world? But if the Yuluo River can initiate the destruction of the world and devour all living things as it did before the historical separation, why can't it do the same in our era? At last, it seems like they only killed the creatures in the Tower of Babel? Duan Lingdan still feels horrified when he thinks of the scene of the Tower of Babel collapsing and the shrill screams he saw before the Nirvana heaven was destroyed. Why does he, in our era, want to restrict the birth of the most powerful seventh-order existence? Why were there not those 9 mysterious entrances to the world of gods and earth before the separation of history? Now, Duan Lingtian can basically confirm that whether it is the counter-god world or the 9 mysterious entrances in other realms of the world behind them, 9 times out of 10, it is the divine earth world where he is now. Chapter 46-53. However, Duan Lingtian also had a lot of confusion in his heart. For example, before the separation of history, in the era when Old Man Wukong existed, why was there no mysterious entrance to the world of gods and earth, and why was the way of heaven in that era capable of destroying the world? However, in his era after the separation of history, the way of heaven was not destroyed. World? What is the purpose of restricting the birth of the most powerful 7th-level existence? In the later period, after he and his master broke through one after another, why did they not only no longer have restrictions, but also hope to have more powerful 7th-level beings? Why did the 9 mysterious entrances disappear one after another? As for the appearance of the 3rd entrance to the Tower of Babel after the 9 mysterious entrances disappeared, he now guessed the reason. It was that Yuluo wanted to pass through the Tower of Babel and kill the creatures who entered, and 9 out of 10 of them used him. Let's practice and improve our strength. Before the heaven of Nirvana collapsed and the turbulent space collapsed, he witnessed the destruction of the Tower of Babel with his own eyes, and countless shrill and horrifying screams. Master Yen, thank you. After digging out some things that the old man of the Yen family knew, Duan Lingtian thanked Yenhu. But Yenhu smiled and shook his head. Sir, you don't need to thank me. What I helped you is far less than what you helped me. What he said was true. As the other party helped him protect the sword-shaped jade pendant that contained the knowledge of the sword, the Yen family might be able to use the sword-shaped jade pendant to give birth to a strong man who has entered the Tao. By then, their Yen family will really be the only one in An City. This is a great thing for the descendants of Fuyin. After being sent to the Yen family, Duan Lingtian returned to the courtyard of the guest room and told his wives what he had learned. The women were also shocked and amazed. I really didn't expect that there is such a magical thing as the creation chart in the world. It can actually create a new world. So, the worlds we were in before, and even the places outside the world, are the worlds in the creation chart? And our earliest ancestors were also the masters of the creation chart, sent in from the world of gods and earth. No wonder I can't sense the power of any laws here. It turns out that the laws of elements can only exist in the creation world. The next day, Duan Lingtian told his parents about the incident, which made them equally horrified. No one expected that the world they lived in the past, whether it was the plane of gods, the plane of heavens, or the secular plane, were all superpowers in the world of gods and earth. Through that shocking creation horoscope, a new world opened up. Father, mother, I plan to take you to the capital of Chuzhou next. Duan Lingtian said, Zhouqing is the most prosperous place in Chuzhou. If Niantian and Xiling are also involved in Chuzhou after being expelled from the small world in my body, they may go there. I decided to stay there for a while and see if I could meet them there. He had it all figured out. When you arrive in Chuzhou City, you should first find a place to stay. It is best to go out with a little reputation. In this way, once his family members and friends who are separated from him hear news about him in Chuzhou, they will definitely come to Zhouqing to look for him. If he is famous enough, even if he is not in Chuzhou, he may still hear his name. As Duan Lingtian expressed these thoughts, Duan Ruffing, Li Ro and his wife's eyes lit up. This method is feasible. Yes. In this way, I might be able to find my good grandson and granddaughter soon. Li Ro is really worried about her grandson and granddaughter, so she hasn't had a good rest recently. After staying in Anqing for another day, Duan Lingtian took a map and left Anqing with his family for the capital city of Chuzhou. In order to speed up, he personally led everyone on the way. However, even so, it still took nearly 10 days to reach the city, which shows how big Chuzhou is. Of course, this is also because every night Duan Lingtian would find a nearby city to stay and only travel during the day. If we had to travel day and night, it would only take a few days at most. This is also because the law of elements does not exist in the world of gods and earth. Otherwise, with the speed that Duan Lingtian can show in the world and outside the world, he can take his family from Anqing to Zhouqing in a day or two at most. Zhouqing is the core city of Chuzhou, so its vast area, majestic city walls, wide streets inside, and the number of passers-by are all beyond the capabilities of the small Anqing. But even so, Duan Lingtian and others were not very surprised. Just because, in the past, when they were in Wanjie and beyond, they had seen cities that were bigger, more magnificent, and more lively than Chuzhou City. Find an inn to stay first, and then ask for news. Duan Lingtian spoke, and then took his family to one of the best inns in the city and checked in. Then, Duan Lingtian walked out of the inn alone to inquire about the news. The information he wanted to inquire about was how many of the strongest forces there were in this city, and what level the strongest practitioners among these forces were. When he was still in Anqing, he knew the divisions of cultivation realms in this world of gods and earth. For example, he now belongs to the 8th level of the Tao. Entering the 8th level of the Tao, only by comprehending one of the 10,000 ways to the 8th level can you successfully enter. The strong men at this level in the world of gods and earth are definitely not as good as the strongest 8th level strongmen in the past 10,000 realms and the land beyond the boundary. Even against the strongest 7th level beings, they are probably at most slightly better. Just because the existence of 10,000 realms and the land outside the boundary can use the laws of elements. The person who is recognized as the most powerful person in Chuzhou is also a person who has entered the 6th level of Taoism. After learning the news, Duan Lingtian knew that his plan was complete. As long as he defeats the most powerful man in Chuzhou, then he will be the most powerful man in Chuzhou. By then, his name will also be famous everywhere. As long as his family and friends are living in Chuzhou area, everybody can hear about him, the presence. By then, he will be able to reunite with his family and friends. I want to see the methods of the cultivators in this world of gods and earth. After confirming the sect where the most powerful man in Chuzhou was and the location of that sect, Duan Lingtian returned to the inn and said hello to his family. Then he left the state city and went to the sect called Shuiyun sect. Shuiyun sect is located 100 miles east of Chuzhou city. Its headquarters is hidden in the mountains, like a paradise. Of course, in Duan Lingshan's view, the Shuiyun sect station was very shabby compared to the top sects he had come into contact with in the 10,000 realms and beyond the boundaries. Therefore, after he came here, he didn't even pay much attention to it. Interested? No. Standing directly outside the Shuiyun sect's mountain gate, with his hands behind his back, he stood in the air and spoke loudly. Rural casual cultivator Duan Lingtian is here to visit Shuiyun sect. He wants to challenge Shuiyun sect's Tingyun Jusher to compete for the title of the most powerful person in Chuzhou. The sound of his opening was like thunder, spreading throughout the Shuiyun sect. Especially the Shuiyun sect disciples in front of the Shuiyun sect's mountain gate were immediately frightened. It's not like they have never seen the elder who came to challenge their Shuiyun sect, but they have never seen him so arrogant and direct. Come directly to the mountain gate and start the challenge. Shouldn't we pay a false visit first, and then mention the challenge in a tactful way? Chapter 46-54. Duan Lingtian naturally knew that it was not polite for him to do this. However, he was too lazy to put in more effort. Moreover, in line with the principle of the strong are respected, if he, an 8th-level cultivator, can challenge a 6th-level cultivator, he will give the other party face and the greatest respect. Within Shuiyun sect, figures soon flew out one after another, staring at Duan Lingtian with eager eyes, all of them with hostile faces. Seeing this, Duan Lingtian was not surprised. If he were in the other party's position, his mood and reaction would definitely be similar. Too normal. Your name is Duan Lingtian? Are you worthy of competing with my great-uncle as the strongest person in Chuzhou? A strong, bald man wearing standard clothing walked out and stared at Duan Lingtian angrily, his eyes as cold as daggers, extremely sharp. Seeing the somewhat familiar figure of the other party, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but think of a person in his mind. An old friend. I don't know, that Lei Hong after the third entrance to the Babel Tower was opened, whether he would enter the Babel Tower to get a chance to improve his strength. If he had gone in, he would definitely be dead by now. If I hadn't gone in, he should also have wandered into this world of gods and earth. The person in front of him reminded Duan Lingtian of Lei Hong. Except for his facial features, his height and figure were the same. What? You think I'm not worthy? Duan Lingtian looked at the other party and smiled lightly. In that case, would you like to help your great-uncle try my method? I think so too. The bald man smiled coldly, then raised his hand, and the concussive power roared out, turning into a long whip, swinging in the void like a python, which was extremely weird. Snapped. There was a loud noise, but the bald man shook his long whip, followed the whip, and killed Duan Lingtian. In an instant, the long whip in the bald man's hand suddenly collapsed and turned into a sharp sword. The tip of the sword pointed directly at Duan Lingshan's eyebrows and penetrated towards Duan Lingtian. His eyes were also filled with cold, murderous intent. Still want to kill me? Duan Lingtian found it a bit funny. This person was overestimating his abilities, wasn't he? After all, he also came to challenge the existence of the 6th level of Shuiyun sect. The strength this person is showing now is only the 4th level at most. Do you want to kill him on this basis? Now, he could also see that when the other party entered the 4th level of Taoism, he also mastered the 4th level of Whip Tao. His movements were like flowing clouds and flowing water, and his whip was like an arm. Since you want to kill me, I will give you a ride. Facing the menacing bald man, Duan Lingshan's expression remained unchanged, and he didn't even intend to evade it. He just raised his hand casually, and a sword beam was shot out by him, and it roared out of his body. Call out. The sword light shot through the sky, like a short-lived meteor in the sky, which even made the bald man and the people of the Shuiyun sect who came out with him unable to react. There was a soft sound, but the sword light penetrated the bald man's eyebrows and killed him from the air. Instant kill. Until this moment, the bald man was still far away from Duan Lingtian. As a result, his body paused in the void and then fell rapidly. Duan Lingtian unceremoniously put away the opponent's Neji. There is no self-destructive Negia in this world of gods and earth. As long as you kill the owner of the Negia and get the Negia, you can get everything inside. And this scene also caused the scene to fall into a brief silence. This deputy sect leader Shur is dead? Oh my god! Deputy sect leader Shur is a powerful person on the 4th level. This man killed Deputy Sect Master Shur in one face-to-face? What kind of strength is this? In front of the mountain gate, several Shuiyun sect disciples were stunned by the scene in front of them. Is this person too strong? No wonder he dared to come directly to challenge their Shuiyun sect's strongest ancestor Tingyun. Master, our sect is in great danger. Please come out to meet the enemy. Master, junior brother Shi Meng was killed by someone who challenged you. When the people from the Shuiyun sect who came with the bald man came to their senses, they shouted loudly, and their voices spread deep into the Shuiyun sect's residence, quickly causing a sensation. First of all, the people from Shuiyun sect were in an uproar and were horrified. This person is so powerful? He really wants the ancestor to take action himself? I have never heard of this Duan Lingtian before. Where did this strong man come from? We won't be in any danger, right? While all the people of Shuiyun sect were shocked, some elders and disciples of Shuiyun sect who were more flexible were preparing for a retreat. They retreated to the edge of the sect's base. They could leave the sect at any time and escape into the mountains and forests, where the sky is high. Fly. Snort dash. A cold snort came from the depths of Shuiyun sect's residence, and then an elderly figure, Feng Su Yufeng, came over. It was an old man with white hair wearing Taoist robes. The old man has thick eyebrows and big eyes, and a resolute face. Regardless of the color of his hair, he only looks at his appearance. He looks like he has just entered middle age at best. Your Excellency, you come to me to challenge me, but you kill my Shuiyun sect disciples. Isn't it a bit too much? The old man stared at Duan Lingtian and asked in a deep voice with a bad tone. Duan Lingshan's expression remained unchanged, and he looked at him calmly. You, Master Tingyun, are no longer a child. If someone wants to kill you, and you have the ability to kill him, will you still spare his life? If he doesn't want to kill me, I have no interest in killing him. To me, he is nothing more than an ant. Although Duan Lingtian said this arrogantly, it was actually true. Shi Meng, who had just been killed by him, had mastered the 4th level of Whip Path. When he took action, there were no other 10,000 ways to show, and he obviously did not master the 2nd level. In his eyes, such an existence was really just a slap in the face. You can take pictures that will dead ants. And although he, after leaving the 10,000 realms and the land outside the boundary, could no longer rely on the laws of elements and lost the clone of the laws, in addition to the 8th level swordsmanship, he also realized the way of control and the way of infinity to the 7th level of situation. In terms of strength, even if he is today, he is only stronger than the 8th level strong man who only masters one Tao and understands it to the 8th level, and can use the elemental laws of the great perfection. Arrogant. Hearing this, Master Tingyun became furious. In an instant, his robes trembled, and his violent strength roared. He actually used his body as a base to condense a sky-reaching sword light, and slashed down towards Duan Lingtian with his 6th level swordsmanship. This sword shines straight into the sky, like a sword in the sky. It shines brightly, as if it can eclipse the sky and the earth. It falls with a crash, the sound of wind and thunder, and the momentum is like a rainbow. Buzz. The sword slashed down and the void shook, but there was no trace of space tearing. Duan Lingtian had to sigh in his heart again that the stability of the space in this world of gods and earth was far beyond his imagination. Even the sword he used to kill Shi Meng just now, not to mention tearing apart the space, did not even cause any ripples in the space. Chapter 46-55. Flashy. Faced with Master Tenjian's menacing blow, Duan Lingtian spoke calmly, and then pointed out, the condensed sword light roared, like tiny stars trying to compete with the sun and the moon in front of Master Tenjian's sword of the sky. However, when this tiny sword light, like a tiny star, touched Master Tenjian's giant sword in the sky, it instantly burst out with infinite power, defeating it in the blink of an eye, and then seemed to consume nothing, and the trend continued. Let's assassinate layman Xiang Tingyun. Enter the 7th level? Master Tingyun let out a horrified exclamation, and the anger in his eyes completely disappeared at this moment, replaced by shock and despair. I surrender. Senior, show mercy. At the moment of life and death, he felt the strong aura of death contained in the blow in front of him. While retreating quickly, Master Tingyun hurriedly spoke, and at the same time he used all his means, and the sword light was crisscrossed, forming a line in front of him. Layers of protection, but still defeated like a torrent. In the face of the opponent's sword, all his methods seemed weak, and everything he did was in vain. Too strong. Not on the same level at all. There is a big dividing line between the 7th level swordsmanship and the 6th level swordsmanship. He has been studying for many years without making a breakthrough, but he did not expect that the person who challenged him today would master the swordsmanship he dreamed of. Snort dash. Duan Lingtan snorted coldly and controlled the sword light to pass by Master Tenjian's forehead, shoveling off a section of his long gray hair, and then whizzed away and disappeared from the end of the field of vision. Thank you, Senior, for showing mercy. Although Master Tengyun's image has plummeted, and his hair is as disheveled as a tramp, when facing Duan Lingtian he is terrified, fearing that he will offend him again. Now he regretted it to death. You shouldn't be so strong. However, he has been strong for a long time. After all, he is recognized as the #1 person in Chuzhou. Although there are 2 other people who have entered the 6th level of Dao in Chuzhou, they are not his opponents. Who would have thought that the person who came to the door today was a being who had entered the 7th level of Taoism? Moreover, it feels stronger than the ordinary 7th level Dao. Senior, I have offended you so much just now. Please forgive me. Senior, forgive me. The rest of the Shuyun sect present saw that their ancestors were no match for the other party. Their expressions changed drastically. After they came to their senses, they also hurriedly bowed and apologized to Duan Lingtian. Did I win today's battle? Duan Lingtian looked at Master Tingyun and asked lightly. Certainly. Master Tingyun did not dare to hesitate at all and nodded hurriedly. Senior's strength is far beyond what I, Tingyun, can match. From today on, the most powerful person in Chuzhou is you, Senior. Duan Lingtan nodded with satisfaction, and then said, I come to challenge you this time because I want to make a name for myself in Chuzhou. You remember. Duan Lingtan is my name. In the past, my friends and opponents all called me the Reverse Divine Sword. From now on, I, the Inverse Divine Sword Duan Lingtian, will be the strongest man in Chuzhou. You Shuiyun sect can spread the word. If anyone is dissatisfied, you can come to the Chengfeng Inn in Chuzhou City to find me and fight. The following words, Duan Lingshan's high-pitched voice, clearly spread throughout the Shuiyun sect. After the words fell, before everyone in the Shuiyun sect could speak, Duan Lingtian turned around and walked away, disappearing in front of the layman Tingyun and others in the blink of an eye. At this time, everyone came back to their senses one after another. The anti-god sword Duan Lingtan? After Master Tingyun came to his senses, he murmured for a while that he had never heard of this person before. He thought he was really a loose cultivator who had just come out of seclusion for many years, and he would become famous throughout Chuzhou as soon as he came out of seclusion. Uncle! At this time, a senior member of the Shuiyun sect who seemed to have a bit of flattery on his face approached layman Tingyun and suggested in a respectful tone, Just now, this Lord Duan Lingtian said that he lives at the Chengfeng Inn in Zhoucheng. I guess I just left the customs and haven't yet a place of your own. Our Shuiyun sect has a lot of real estate in the city. Why don't you give him a set in person, which can be considered a good relationship? After all, if his reputation really spreads, even if we want to give him real estate, he probably won't want it. By then, The families in Zhoucheng will have already arranged real estate for him. As for Layman Tingyun, after hearing what the other party said, his eyes suddenly lit up. Not bad. Your suggestion is good. And you, it seems that I underestimated you in the past, my uncle. You are very good. Layman Tingyun stepped forward and patted the person who gave him advice on the shoulder, smiling with satisfaction. Then, he looked at another middle-aged man with a majestic face next to him and said, Sect Master, prepare the best property of the sect in Zhoucheng, and then follow me to Chengfeng Inn in Zhoucheng to give it to Duan Lingtong. Grown-ups, after he finished speaking, he looked at the person who gave the advice. And you can go too. Yes, master. Yes, uncle. The two heads of the Shuyun sect responded respectfully, especially the middle-aged man with a goatee who seemed to be born with a lingering goat's beard on his face. A senior brother glanced at his envy, jealousy, and hatred. So, the head of the Shuyun sect quickly selected the property and accompanied the Layman Tingyun to the Chengfeng Inn in Zhoucheng. What? Someone wants to challenge me so soon? Duan Lingtian did not expect that just 2 days after returning from Shuiyun sect, Layman Tingyun from Shuiyun sect came to his door, accompanied by 2 other people from Shuiyun sect. I just thought someone wanted to challenge me. Sir, we are here to give you real estate. Layman Tingyun said with a smile, I heard that you were staying at the inn in the past 2 days, and then I thought that you must have just appeared in Chuzhou, so I asked me the master of Shuiyun sect has prepared a property belonging to our Shuiyun sect in Zhoucheng for you as a gift. My lord, you live. Sect master, please introduce me. After the words fell, the Shuiyun sect leader behind him took a step forward and bowed respectfully. Wu Danqing, the Shuiyun sect leader, has met Lord Duan Lingtian. Lord Duan Lingtian, the property that our Shuiyun sect intends to give to you is located in. Wu Danqing introduced patiently. Shuiyun sect came to present the property with obvious good intentions, and it was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to guess their thoughts. However, he was new here and really needed a permanent property. The most important thing is that he is not alone. He has family around him. Having a fixed property will make it easier for him to settle down in this Chuzhou city. After all, he has planned to stay here for a while to see if there are any family members or friends. Living in Chuzhou, when they hear his name, they will naturally come to him. You might think that the name Duan Lingtian is the same name. However, with the name Anti-God Sword being the first 2 words in the anti-God realm, they wouldn't think it was just a person with the same name, they could definitely be him. Chapter 4656. The property given by Shuyun Zong is a vast mansion. Looking at the entire Chuzhou city, it is also a first-class mansion. Under the arrangement of the Shuiyun sect leader, Duan Lingtian and his family moved in smoothly. Even because he had no intention of keeping a low profile, Duan Lingtian let the Shuiyun sect arrange it, so everyone in Chuzhou city knew that the Shuiyun sect gave this mansion to the man who had just defeated the Tingyun layman not long ago. Strong casual cultivator, the reverse divine sword Duan Lingtian. For a time, the name of the inverse divine sword Duan Lingtian swept through the entire Chuzhou like a hurricane with the city as the center. We in Chuzhou also have super strong men who have reached the 7th level or above. I heard that Duan Lingtian, the anti-God sword, defeated our former strongest man in Chuzhou, the Layman Tingyun of Shuiyun sect, in just one encounter. The 7th level and the 6th level are the watershed. Such a gap is normal. Before that, on the day of the housewarming when Duan Lingtian moved his family, all the big forces in Chuzhou basically sent people over, either the sect leaders, family patriarchs, gang leaders came in person, or the top leaders of the major forces. The strong man comes in person. What Duan Lingtian didn't expect was that the old guy from Shuiyun sect, also known as Jusher Tingyun, stayed shamelessly, saying that he could help Duan Lingtian with some trivial things, but in fact he just wanted to from Duan Lingshan's side, he further improved his swordsmanship. Duan Lingtian didn't drive him away, because there were indeed benefits to keeping him. He could only occasionally point out problems in the opponent's swordsmanship, but he could get the opponent to help him conscientiously, and there was also a top sect in Chuzhou behind him for him to control, which was of no harm to him. But when the layman Tingyun stayed, he suddenly became the housekeeper of the Duan mansion. After the news spread, it triggered a series of shocks. The anti-god sword Duan Lingtian not only defeated the former strongest man in Chuzhou, but also made him willing to stay by his side as a housekeeper and handle trivial matters for him. For a time, many people across Chuzhou were discussing this matter. It's simply outrageous. The dignified Shuayun sect ancestor, a strong man who has entered the 6th level of Taoism, is willing to be a butler. In my opinion, your vision is too low and your structure is too small. That Shuayun sect ancestor, he was also the #1 person in Chuzhou in the past. How could he be a brainless person? Now, he is willing to condescend to follow Master Duan Lingtian, which shows that he is doing this will get him the benefits he wants. I think that's the case too. Old monsters like Master Teng Yun are those who don't see rabbits and don't let go of hawks. Will they do things that cause losses? Anyway, I don't believe it. As far as I know, Master Teng Yun is entering the Tao with a sword, and the name of Master Duan Lingtian is the anti-sword of God, which means that he also enters the Tao with a sword. As a strong person who has entered the 7th level of the Tao, his swordsmanship must be above the 7th level. According to me, look, Master Tingyun is pretending to be a butler, but he wants Master Duan Lingtian to help him improve his swordsmanship. You still see clearly, at the same time. In a small town called Qianqing, in Chuzhou, a young, beautiful woman with an refined temperament was walking out of a restaurant with a girl wearing a light golden dress and looking like jade. After people leave the city, then we headed towards Chuzhou City. Sister Xuanai, the anti-god sword Duan Lingtian they are talking about must be brother Lingtian. The girl said to the young woman with a very firm tone. It's obvious. The young woman smiled and said, if it's just a name, it could be the same name. With the name inverse divine sword, who else could it be if he wasn't my brother? Brother is not someone who likes to be in the limelight. He is so famous in Chuzhou. I think he came here just to look for us. He wants us to go to Chuzhou City to find him as soon as we know his traces. This young woman is none other than Han Xuanai. As for the girl beside her, it is Xiao Jin. In the past, when they were still part of the divine heritage land, in the small world inside Duan Lingtian, they initially practiced with Duan Siling, Duan Yentian, Xiao He and Xiao Bai, but later they were divided into 3 teams, each in experience everywhere. She was with Xiao Jin, Duan Siling and Xiao Bai together, Duan Yentian and Xiao He together. But they didn't expect that such a big change would suddenly happen. The land of divine heritage was destroyed and the turbulent space collapsed. Then the 2 of them also wandered into Chuzhou in this divine land world. It took them a while to find the people and came to in a small city called Qianqing. They had been here for a few days and had no intention of leaving rashly. But today they heard rumors about the anti-sword sword Duan Lingtian. They knew that it was their brother Duan Lingtian, so they decided to leave immediately. City, and went to Chuzhou City to reunite with his brother. Although they have not yet entered the Tao, their strength is not bad. When they were still in the land of divine relics, they received the most powerful godhead from Duan Lingtian to assist in their cultivation. In addition, there was no shortage of various training resources, and they successively stepped into the realm of the gods. Respect the realm. Along the way, although I encountered bandits, I dealt with them easily. Finally, we arrived at Chuzhou City successfully. After a little inquiring, they found out where the Duan mansion was. It was also at this time that they realized that although their brother Duan Lingtian had become famous in Chuzhou for a short time, his intimidating power in the city and even the entire Chuzhou was far greater than that of the former strongest man in Chuzhou, Tingyun Jusher. Even when they came outside Duan mansion, they could still see some people queuing up to give gifts. The purpose of these people is to join their brother Lingtian, follow their brother Lingtian to understand the way of swordsmanship, and enter the way with the sword. 2 girls, you are also here to become a disciple? Naturally, it is impossible for layman Tingyun to be stationed at the door of Duan mansion. The people guarding here are the more clever elders of Shuayun sect arranged by layman Tingyun at the request of the Shuayun sect leaders for ordinary Shuayun sect disciples. He felt that they were not worthy guard the door for the respected Lord Duan Lingtian. Hello, Senior. Please inform Mr. Duan Lingtian that our old friends Han Xuanai and Xiao Jin are visiting. Han Xuanai said politely to the old gatekeeper who asked him. She did not directly explain the relationship between her and Duan Lingtian, fearing that the other party would mistakenly think that she was looking for an excuse to have with him, so she just visited her normally. As long as her brother Lingtian heard the report, he would naturally come to pick her up. Let's go in. Old friend. After hearing this, the Shui Yun sect elder did not dare to neglect and reported it immediately. Of course, he was not qualified to go to Duan Lingtian directly. He was looking for Layman Tingyun. Uncle, 2 girls came outside, saying they are the old friends of Lord Duan Lingtian. After Master Tingyun received the notification, he immediately went to find Duan Lingtian. After Duan Lingtian heard the names of Xuanai and Xiaojin from the mouth of Master Tingyun, his eyes suddenly lit up. He knew that his plan was beginning to show results. Xuanai and Xiaojin must have happened to be living in Chuzhou, otherwise no maybe he came to your door so quickly. It's Xuanai and Xiaojin. Duan Lingshan's wife Li Fei also heard the announcement from Layman Tingyun and was so excited that she ran out immediately. Duan Lingtian followed behind. When he arrived at the gate of Duan Mansion, he saw his wife Li Fei hugging 2 familiar slim figures, and a smile appeared on his face. Xuanai and Xiaojin found it. This is a good start. Chapter 46-57. Elder Brother. Elder Brother. When Han Xuanai and Xiaojin saw Duan Lingtian, they immediately left Li Fei's arms in excitement and threw themselves at Duan Lingtian. Tears of excitement fell down. In a completely unfamiliar environment, their sense of crisis increased greatly, especially since they had been protected by Duan Lingtian before. Comparing the two, they were like the difference between hell and heaven. I really didn't expect that the first ones I found were you 2 girls. Duan Lingtian also hugged the 2 girls one by one, smiled and patted their backs, and then separated them after a few words of comfort. In his eyes, the 2 girls are no different from his biological sisters. A quarter of an hour later, all the family members and friends around Duan Lingtian sat together, listening to the 2 daughters Han Xuanai talking about what happened after they ended up living here. Before coming to Chuzhou City, they also had a certain understanding of the world. Of course, Duan Lingtian doesn't know many things as well as he does. They didn't know the legend of the creation life chart. When they heard Duan Lingtian mention this, they were all shocked. They didn't expect that the world they used to live in, and the place outside the world, might actually be the creation of the world. An independent world opened up in the natal chart. No wonder the existence of laws cannot be sensed here. Xuanai suddenly realized, and the little face carved with gold powder and jade was also full of surprise. In any case, the arrival of Xuanai and Xiaojin gave everyone a boost in the arms. As time goes by, family members and friends will definitely come to seek refuge. Perhaps, there are other people from the God-defying realm who know Duan Lingtian coming. And this is indeed the case. Half a month later, another person came to Duan Mansion in Chuzhou City and approached Duan Lingtian. The person who came was actually Zhao Ani from the Qingyun holy sect in the land outside the boundary. When Duan Lingtian met him for the first time, he was the strongest member of the Qingyun holy sect, a saint with considerable strength, the strongest 6th level. The presence. Later, he also stepped into the 7th level of the strongest. Here, he also has the ability to enter the 7th level. It seems you didn't enter the Tower of Babel. Seeing Zhao Ani again, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh. When his master Feng Qingyang followed his wife to the outside world, he asked his master to say hello to Zhao Ani and remind him not to enter Tongtian again. Tower. At that time, his thought was that he should be reminded that as for Zhao Enya's choice, it was entirely up to him. Now it seems that Zhao Ani has listened. Speaking of which, thanks to Brother Lingtian for your reminder. Zhao Ani cupped his hands in front of Duan Lingtian and said, "That day, Brother Feng also specifically mentioned in his message that you asked him to call Mr. Meng of Bibo Tianfu to inform me. Actually, at that time I didn't quite believe that there would be problems with the Tower of Babel. It's just that I feel that you won't do it without aim. So, I just refrained from entering the Tower of Babel again. But I didn't expect that something would really happen to the Tower of Babel. Before the land outside the boundary was destroyed, the turbulent space receded, and the law of elements disappeared. Zhao Ani also witnessed the collapse of the Tower of Babel and heard the horrific screams coming from inside. It was horrifying and unforgettable. After some exchanges between the two, Duan Lingkai found out that Zhao Ani had also heard about the legend of the creation life plan, and concluded that the worlds and places outside the world were most likely to be the world created by the creation life plan. That Yueyuo is the master of the creation chart. However, he was caught, but I don't know if he was killed. In fact, I was not living in Chuzhou at first, but in another state next to Chuzhou. I came to Chuzhou because I wanted to get some information. When I realized that my strength was comparable to the 7th level strongman here, and that the strongest person in Chuzhou was only the 6th level, I also tried to defeat him, replace him, become famous everywhere, and then gather together my thoughts as a survivor of the Qingyun holy sect. Unexpectedly, I received news within a few days that Shuiyun sect Tingyun layman was defeated by a reclusive strong man named Duan Lingtian, and he was willing to become his follower, riding in front and behind. After I learned about the name of the anti-god sword that you promoted to the outside world, I guessed that it was you, so I came to look for you. It was rare for old friends to reunite, so Zhao Ani stayed with Duan Lingtian for a few days before leaving. There is Duan Lingshan's Duan Mansion in Chuzhou, and people who want to come to their Qingyun holy sect may also come here. Therefore, he planned to go to another state to make a name for himself, become a well-known figure there, and become the second Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian made an agreement with him to send someone to inform him after he has established a foothold. If someone from the Qingyun holy sect comes to Duan's house, Duan Lingtian will send someone to take him to Zhao Ani, and Zhao Ani will also help arrange the for Duan Lingtian. Family and friends. Mutual benefit and mutual assistance. The two of them already had a friendship, and since they were in a foreign land, it was natural for them to work together. So, as time went by, many old friends came to Chuzhou City Duan Mansion one after another. They were either people from the Nishan realm, or people from Bibo Tianfu, Qingyun sacred sect, or the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty. Duan Lingtian placed them one by one. Soon, news came from Zhao Ani. Zhao Ani defeated the most powerful person in Yunzhou and became the new #1 person in Yunzhou. He also named himself Old Man Qingyun, and also had a mansion of his own in Yunzhou, named Qingyun Mansion. After Duan Lingtian received the news, he sent someone to send several disciples of Qingyun holy sect over. Not long after sending the person away, Zhao Ani also sent someone over. The third master of the Xia family, Xia Jie, was sent over. Third uncle. Both Duan Lingtian and Kier were very happy to see Xia Jie again. Compared to Xia Yu, the head of the Xia family, the two of them are closer to Xia Jie. Later, several more powerful people from the god realm came to the Duan Mansion. For them, in this strange world, it was much better for them to take refuge with Duan Lingtian, an 8th-level powerhouse like them, than to live by themselves. Master Duan Lingtian is actually a powerful person on the 8th level? At the same time, Master Tingyun also learned from a powerful person in the Nishan realm that Duan Lingtian had mastered the 8th-level swordsmanship and was a genuine 8th-level expert. It could be said that he was severely frightened. Before that, he had always regarded Duan Lingtian as a being on the 7th level of the Tao. But he didn't expect that he was a powerful person who had entered the 8th level. It didn't take long. Another unexpected person came to Duan Mansion in Chuzhou City. Duan Lingtian has actually never seen this person before. However, there is a lot of connection with him. This is a young girl who looks quirky. When she saw Duan Lingen, she smiled and said, "I didn't expect that I found you first before I found Chimei and the others. Senior nephew Duan Lingen, I have long admired your name." Chapter 4658. This is a girl who looks to be about 13 or 14 years old. She has 2 braids on her head and pretty cheeks carved with pink and jade. I felt pity for her when I saw her. Although Duan Lingtian has never met her, he has heard of her more than once. The second city lord of the 13 cities in the Western Jin dynasty was Yu Shao. She is also the second sister of his junior wife, Xue Qingzhu. Uncle Yu. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. He couldn't help it, he was really lower in seniority than the other party. After all, the other party's 7th sister was his junior wife. Good. Yu Shao laughed and looked very optimistic, not at all pessimistic about the old friends who Duan Lingtian had come into contact with before and came to this strange world. The two chatted for a while, and Duan Lingtian was the first to ask, Uncle Yu, do you plan to go out and make a name for yourself and gather people from the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty? Now, they are probably scattered all over the world. While communicating with Yu Shao, he also learned that Yu Shao also knew the existence of the creation life plan, and also guessed that the place outside the world where she was previously was a world created by the creation life plan. I'm lazy. Yu Shao yawned and shook his head. Leave this kind of matter to your elder brother. From today on, I will stay at your house and wait for Chimei and Chishi brother-in-law to come to you. Seeing Yu Shao's lazy look, Duan Lingtian was speechless for a while. He had long heard the master's wife talk about this person's glorious deeds and knew his character, but when he came into contact with him seriously, he still couldn't help but feel deeply moved. How did such a lazy person reach the 6th level of the strongest and become a saint before the Tower of Babel appeared? Later, after the Tongtian Tower appeared, the other party became the 2nd most powerful 7th level powerhouse in the 13 cities of the Western Jin dynasty after Xue Qingzhu. Although the laws of the divine earth world have disappeared, the opponent's strength is still comparable to the 7th level of the Tao in this world. Uncle Yu, I heard Zhao Ani from Qingyun Holy Sect say before that not only could he not sense the existence of the power of law in the world of gods and earth, but the power of bloodline has also disappeared. Is the power of your bloodline still there? Duan Lingtian thought about this and couldn't help but ask. Yu Shao nodded. My bloodline power has also disappeared. If I guessed correctly, the so-called bloodline power of the Aboriginal people in our outside world also appeared based on the power of law. It's just not like the law clone of you people from all realms, which directly targets the law. In the past, the powerful people from all realms did not have the power of blood as a basis. That was the method of the indigenous people in the outside world. The avatars of the laws possessed by powerful men in all realms cannot be condensed by the natives of the lands outside the realm. It can be said that each has its own advantages. Unexpectedly, all realms and the land outside the realm were destroyed, and all living beings fled to the world of gods. All these methods were lost in the dust of history. Duan Lingtian knew that after the world was shattered, it was almost impossible to go back. Unless we get the creation chart to see if we can repair the ruined world, then there may be a glimmer of hope. However, that must be a very difficult thing. However, he still wanted to try it if given the chance. After all, that is his hometown, and it means a lot to him, and even to people like him who live in the world of the gods. Uncle Yu, since you don't plan to go out and make trouble, otherwise will this part of my house be left to you? I'll just go out and try my best to become more famous. I can also get along with Master Nyang and the others faster. Reunion. Once I'm reunited with Master Nyang and the others, tell them you're here and they can come directly to you. Duan Lingtian said. As you sit here, you only need to protect my family and give them a safe cultivation environment. Yu Xiaonai is a being on the 7th level of Taoism. It couldn't be easier to save his Duan mansion and his family in Chuzhou. He didn't plan to take too many people with him when he left this time. At most, Huaner and Kier should be brought with them. Both girls have already entered the Tao. As for the other people who have never entered the Tao, it is better to let them stay here to practice. He can rest assured that Yu Shao will protect him. That's no problem. Yu Shao nodded. It's much better for you to go out and try it than for me. With my strength, the fame I can achieve is limited. You are different. With your strength, although it's only the 8th level of the Tao, but the general Tao on the 9th floor, I'm afraid it's hard for anyone to be your opponent. As Shui King's second sister, she had long known Duan Lingshan's industry from Shui King's mouth. She knew that Duan Lingtian not only understood the way of swordsmanship to the 8th level, but also had extremely high attainments in the way of control and the way of infinity. Now, she guessed that she might have entered the 7th level. Then it's settled. After getting Yu Xiao's consent, Duan Lingtian breathed a sigh of relief so that he could leave with peace of mind. After saying hello to Yu Xiao and leaving, Duan Lingtian gathered his family together and told his plan at the same time. He is planning to leave Chuzhou and go to a place where there are more powerful people to further build his fame so that his old friends, relatives and friends who are still living abroad can reunite. Naturally, all the wives wanted to go, but Duan Lingtian only asked Huaner and Kier to accompany them. The reason was that they had already entered the Tao, and the others had not, so it was better to practice hard. When Li Fei and Feng Tianwu heard this, determination flashed in their eyes, and they were determined to sprint into the Tao. Duan Ruffing and Li Rou didn't feel much at all. They stayed in Chuzhou City for a while and felt that it was a good place and suitable for retirement. Han Xuanai and Xiao Jin were also a little disappointed that they could not go out with Duan Lingtian. They were also full of yearning for strength and decided to concentrate on training in the next time and enter the Tao as soon as possible. After explaining to his family, Duan Lingtian found a special time to introduce Yu Xiao to them. After knowing that Yu Xiao was Shui King's second sister, everyone was very enthusiastic. "Uncle Yu, I will leave my family to you." A few days later, Duan Lingtian said hello to Yu Xiao, took Huaner and Kier, and left together under the watchful eyes of Yu Xiao and others. The procession that sent Duan Lingtian away was huge. Not only Yu Xiao and Duan Lingshan's family members, but also some old friends from the past were there. Even the layman Ting Yun of the Shuiyun sect was also there. Although he was a little disappointed with Duan Lingshan's departure, he was still inexplicably excited when he thought that Duan Lingtian had left him with some knowledge of swordsmanship before leaving. All your efforts over this period of time have finally paid off. Next, during the time when Lord Duan Lingtian is away, he must express himself better. As long as he wins Lord Duan Lingshan's favor, why can't he make further progress in swordsmanship? Brother Tian, let's leave Chuzhou. Where will we go next? Before leaving Chuzhou, Kier asked curiously. Until now, Duan Lingtian has not told Kier and Huaner the destination of their trip. Go to Jiangzhou, which is also the core area of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and the capital of Divine Kingdom is there. Duan Lingtian said. Chapter 46-59. To this day, Duan Lingshan's understanding of the world of divine soil is limited to Jianglan Divine Kingdom and the surrounding area. Chuzhou is just a relatively remote state in Jianglan Shen's country. If Duan Lingtian hadn't been born, there would have been no existence above the 7th level of the Tao in Chuzhou for many years. There are more than one person who has entered the 7th level of the Tao in some of the cities and towns within the Jianglan Divine Kingdom that are close to Jiangzhou, where the capital of the Divine Kingdom is located. In the core state of Jiangzhou, although there are not countless existences above the 7th level of Tao, there are still quite a few. If we don't talk about anything else, in the capital of the Kingdom of God, all the forces that can be named are among them. There is an entrance on the 7th floor, the strong ones above. Rumor has it that Jianglan, the patron saint of the Kingdom of God and the great enshrinement of the royal family of the Kingdom of God, is a super strong man who has entered the 9th level of the Tao. As the capital of the Kingdom of God, it is naturally very prosperous. It is much stronger than Chuzhou City. However, for Duan Lingtian and his party, they did not feel much, because in the world they were in the past, in the land outside the boundary, there were many cities that were as prosperous as the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, and they had also been there, so I don't think it's that strange. Kier, Huaner, let's find an inn to stay first, and then I'll go out to do some errands. Duan Lingtian said to his wife beside him. The two girls also nodded sensibly, knowing that with their current strength, they can barely protect themselves. That's good. I can't help my husband. It's better to stay in the inn and practice hard. Strive to go further. There is basically no shortage of training resources, and my husband's personal guidance on Kendo means the road ahead is smooth. After arranging his wife, Duan Lingtian walked out of the inn, asked for directions, and finally went to a vast mansion in the capital. He said to several servants guarding the door, "I am Duan Lingtian from Duan Mansion in Chuzhou, and I am here to come to your Hong Mansion. A strong one Hong Dongchuan is participating in the discussion, please let me know." Hong Dongchuan is a well-known strong man in the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. He is a person on the 8th level of the Tao. He is also a big figure in the capital of the Divine Kingdom. In addition, the Hong family is still a relative of the emperor, so Hong Dongchuan is within the scope of the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Status extremely high, respected by thousands of people. The mansion in front of me has a plaque with the word, Hong Mansion, hanging on the door. This is where the Hong family's mansion is located. When several domestic slaves heard Duan Lingshan's words, their pupils shrank slightly. They didn't look like they were joking, and most people didn't dare to make such a joke. After all, this kind of joke can kill people. Therefore, they did not dare to neglect, and a servant immediately turned around and returned to the Hong Mansion, and hurriedly went to find the person in charge of their Hong Mansion, the current head of the Hong family, Hong Wuji. After hearing the report from the slave, Hong Wuzi's pupils shrank slightly. Tuzhou? Duan Lingtian? It seems to be the anti-god sword Duan Lingtian. Although Duan Lingshan's current fame is not enough to spread throughout the entire Jianglan Divine Kingdom, Hong Wuji, as the person in charge of the Hong Mansion and the current head of the Hong family, has a lot of respect for God. There are many new strong men in various states in the country who know a lot about each other. Naturally, I have heard about the newly rising Duan Lingtian. In addition, in another state of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, another strong man who entered the 7th level of Taoism has emerged, named Zhao Ani, who calls himself Old Man Qingyun. Duan Lingtian, the anti-god sword, Qingyun Old Man Zhao Ani. I heard that these two people have some contact. They all seem to appear out of thin air. Some time ago, I heard that the training place of the new master of Chuangshi Lifepan was found. Many powerful Hadao men took action, seriously injuring him and severely damaging Chuangshi Lifepan. It almost destroyed the world created in the creation chart, causing all the creatures in it to flow out. All parties in the world of Luoshentu. Are these two people from that place? As the person in charge of the Hong Mansion, Hong Wuji knew far more than ordinary people. However, Duan Lingtian, the anti-god sword, dares to come to our Hong Mansion and threatens to challenge the ancestor. I am afraid that it is not the 7th level of the Taoist mentioned in the rumors. I am afraid that it has already entered the 8th level of the Taoist. Thinking of this, Hong Wu couldn't help but feel a bit of fear in his eyes, and then he took his servants to the gate of Hong Mansion in person. "Your Excellency, you must be the new strongest person in Chuzhou recently, Master Duan Lingtian of the anti-sword, right?" Although Hong Wuji is the head of the Hong family, he himself is only on the 6th level of Taoism. He does not dare to neglect or make excuses in front of this young man in purple who looks very young. "I am Hong Wuji, the person in charge of Hong Mansion. I heard that you came to Hong Mansion to challenge our Hong Mansion ancestors?" Hong Wu's words were quite polite. Duan Lingtian nodded. "I'm going to test the depth of the 8th level Taoist from your Hong Mansion. If I can beat him, I also hope that you, Han Wu, can pull the strings so that I can have a chance to challenge the 9th level Taoist from the Imperial compound." Hearing this, Hong Wu's heart was filled with turmoil. What's the situation? This Duan Lingtian also wants to challenge the 9th level member of their royal family of Jianglan Divine Kingdom, the being who is known as the guardian of Jianglan Divine Kingdom? Does he really have that strength? Or did he drift away after becoming the number 1 person in Chuzhou? "Lord Duan Lingtian, I will take you to see the ancestor. As for whether the ancestor is willing to spar with you, I dare not make the decision for him." Hong Wuji secretly took a deep breath, calmed down the restlessness in his heart, and said politely to Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he also had a lot of thoughts in his mind. It is said that the new owner of the creation life chart cannot completely control the creation life chart like the old owner of the creation life chart. Once the life that opened up the world in it has the strength to reach the 7th level of entry or above, it will be difficult for him to cover it up. Creation chart their traces will be discovered and even hunted down. After all, he stole and reorganized the creation chart in order to imitate the old owner of the creation chart and wanted to follow the forbidden life sacrifice method. Under such circumstances, he actually allowed the beings inside to appear as beings above the 7th level of the Tao? Isn't this seeking death? No wonder he was discovered and almost killed. Good. Duan Lingtian nodded, and then followed Hong Wuji into the Hong mansion. Soon, in a quiet courtyard deep in the Hong mansion, he met the ancestor of the Hong mansion, the 8th-level Taoist who was famous in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Prison Knife Hong Dongchuan. As his name suggests, what he is good at is the sword way among all the ways. Although Hong Dongchuan is the ancestor of the Hong mansion, he is actually a handsome young man. He looks to be about the same age as Duan Lingtian. After learning Duan Lingshan's identity and purpose, his eyes could not help but reveal something. Share fighting spirit. Chuzhou Nishenjian, I have heard of you. Some time ago, an old friend of mine told me that there is a new strong man in Chuzhou with a name that is quite similar to mine. The anti-god sword, the prison suppressing sword, are indeed somewhat similar. Since you dare to challenge me, you must have entered the 8th level of the Tao, right? Chapter 4660. Hong Dongchuan is a cheerful person. After learning Duan Lingshan's intention, he agreed to his challenge. He even intended to build momentum for Duan Lingtian, and made an agreement with Duan Lingtian to fight on the highest peak Qingtian Peak near the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom in half a year. At the same time, the Hong mansion will spread the news widely from now on. Like Hong Wuji, he also guessed Duan Lingshan's identity and also guessed Duan Lingshan's purpose of eagerness to become famous, which was nothing more than to reunite his family and friends who were scattered across the divine land. Brother Lingtian, you should come from the world created by the creation life plan, right? Hong Dongchuan got straight to the point and made the point straight away. Hearing Hong Dongquan's words, Duan Lingtian secretly took a deep breath. Unexpectedly, the other party guessed his origin. He quickly asked the other party how he guessed his origin. He had no intention of hiding his origins. That's not necessary. The owner of the creation life chart will be targeted by the powerful people in the world of gods and earth because he uses the new world opened up by the creation life chart to practice the forbidden life sacrifice method and exchange the spiritual life of all living things for the improvement of his own strength. Therefore, he provokes the world. Angry people blame. It can be seen from this that the powerful people in the world of gods and earth still prefer justice. Even if it is just superficial justice, it is still considered justice. If Jianglan Divine Kingdom only produced you, the anti-god sword, I wouldn't guess that you are from there. However, another old man Qingyun appeared later, and I had to connect you too. In the two states where the strongest people were originally the 6th level, 2 existences above the 7th level have appeared one after another. It makes people curious about your origins. It's like you appeared out of thin air. It's true that there are powerful people in the hidden world in the world of gods and earth, but basically it will take a long time for one to appear, or they won't be born at all. But you guys appear one after another, which makes people think deeply. Now, I am not the only one who guesses like this. Even the existences above the 7th level of Jianglan Divine Kingdom also guess like this. In fact, some people have long wanted to meet and communicate with you. If you don't come to the capital, I'm afraid it won't be long before someone goes to Duan Mansion in Chuzhou Prefecture to visit you. After hearing Hong Dongquan's words, Duan Lingtian realized that he was already the number 1 figure in Jianglan Divine Kingdom and had entered the vision of the top powerhouses in Jianglan Divine Kingdom. At this time, Duan Lingtian also understood why Hong Dongchuan had decided to announce the match 3 months later. This is intentional to help him. Just now, he thought that Hong Dongchuan wanted to defeat him openly in front of more people, so as to satisfy his vanity. Now it seems that after some exchanges, he can also feel the kindness from the other party. It is obvious that he thought of the other party too badly. Thank you, Brother Hong. Duan Lingtian thanked him repeatedly, because he knew that as the news spreads in the Hong mansion, I am afraid that the entire Jianglan Divine Kingdom will spread about the showdown between the two of them half a year later. The strong men from Lanshan Kingdom will definitely be their field. Even outside Jianglan Divine Kingdom, there will definitely be people coming to watch the battle. Brother Lingtian is welcome. Hong Dongchuan smiled slightly. You have just arrived, so you probably don't have a place to live in the capital, right? I'll ask Wu Ji to arrange a mansion for you and your wife to live in. Just now, during the communication with Duan Lingtian, he also learned that Duan Lingtian did not come alone. He also brought 2 ladies with him. Thank you, Brother Hong. In this way, Duan Lingtian, Kier, and Huaner also found a place to stay in the capital of Jianglan Divine Kingdom. Hong Wuji arranged a place for Duan Lingtian. After returning to Hong Mansion, he approached Hong Dongchuan and asked, Ancestor, are you too kind to Duan Lingtian? He could tell that this ancestor had a love for money. You should know that I was born with sharp senses, especially after I entered Taoism. I am even more different from ordinary people. Hong Dongchuan was sitting at the table drinking tea. After taking a sip of tea, his eyes flickered. Duan Lingyan, in addition to his understanding of swordsmanship, the realm is not weaker than my sword art. He should have also comprehended at least one kind of 10,000 ways above the 7th level. You should know what this means. As soon as Hong Dongchuan said these words, Hong Wuji couldn't help but take a breath of air. How is this possible? It is extremely difficult to comprehend a Tao and advance to the 7th level. The second way is more difficult. For example, the ancestor of their Hong mansion is not only good at swordsmanship, he is also good at several other ways. However, among those several ways, the strongest ones only reach the 6th level. It is difficult to cross the threshold of the 7th level because he will be mastered. The Tao Dao of swords is rejected. Under the pressure of 8 levels of swordsmanship, trying to promote the other ways to the 7th level is difficult to achieve. In the current Jianglan Divine Kingdom, as far as he knows, there are only a few people who have promoted the second path to the 7th level. This has also established the status of those 2 as the strongest, making them stand in the Jianglan Divine Kingdom. The pinnacle is called invincible. One of them is said to have transcended the path of enlightenment and stepped onto the path of harmony. Looking at the entire world of gods and earth, there are only a few dozen powerful Hadao people. It is said that if you want to merge with the Tao, the first threshold is to comprehend the 2 Tao to the 7th level or above. The second threshold is to comprehend the 2 Tao to the 9th level or above. Fusion of the 2 Tao will open up your own path. A brand new way, and the combination is successful, is the 3rd threshold. Only when all 3 thresholds are passed can one achieve harmony. The difficulty of harmony has existed throughout ancient and modern times. Only when you have passed the first threshold can you be considered qualified to be a Taoist. Being friends with such a person will bring no harm to me or the Hong mansion. After hearing Hong Dongquan's words, Hong Wuji knew that what the ancestor just said was 90% correct. The ancestor is a cautious and arrogant person. If the other party was not really good, he would not be able to create such momentum and be willing to become a stepping stone for others. When the 2 of them were communicating in Hong Mansion, on Duan Lingshan's side, Kier and Huano were also quite surprised after hearing Duan Lingshan's experience in Hong Mansion. Then Senior Hong Dongchuan from Hong Mansion is so easy to talk to, and he also takes the initiative to help Brother Tian to build momentum and make Brother Tian famous. Kier felt that the other party was too kind to her husband, which was simply unreasonable. In fact, Duan Lingtian is still a little confused about this. Logically speaking, the other party should not be so careful about him. This seems to be a deliberate investment in him, just because he may be able to defeat him and advance. One to become famous? However, there are a few people who are willing to become stepping stones for others. Duan Lingtian was really confused by Hong Dongquan's help from the Hong mansion, and he couldn't figure out why the other party was so kind to him. He couldn't refuse this kind offer. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.